Here's the show so you can know and follow right along and watch Jill get strong. Let the entire nation witness Jill's recuperation. So let's go with the Recuperation Show.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Recuperation Show. Well, the Recuperation Show, if you haven't seen this before, it's called that because I recently fractured my heel bone, the calcaneus bone, because I fell off a very high wall exactly at the same time that the world became affected by COVID-19. So, Dr. William Paer, my father, has a lot on his mind, as he's a clinical psychologist, about this phenomenon that affected every single person in the world. And he has a lot to say about it. So let's see what's on his mind.
Well, what I have to say is, first of all, that the new reality is that phrase that
New normality.
new reality too.
Yeah, reality.
Both.
Yeah.
The normality. This is the most absurd, seemingly coming out of a press agent's office or advertising company. There's no new reality. And prior to the arrival of good old COVID-19, there wasn't any normality. So it's if they said the new abnormality, they'd be closer to what's really going on. There's factors in this business of a worldwide epidemic. There's something about it that's good, but I want to make sure that whoever is listening to me takes me seriously, and I'm not a person who's advocating that the good part is that people are dying like flies all over the world, and we're inhibited in our daily existence because of the need for quarantining ourselves, and all these businesses of the masks and the washing of the hands and all of that. COVID-19, the arrival of such a virus, is a horror.
COVID-19.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's anything that threatens life has to be regarded as something horrible and devastating. It's taken an enormous toll in our existence, and nobody's going to accuse me of approving of that part of COVID-19. But what's the good part? What's the good part? The good part is that God is saying, get back to your home and family or I'll kill you. That's what's going on right now. If you don't stay home and take stock of what's going on in your life, at least I don't pretend that God has the magic touch that will make everybody meditate about what's going on and analyze why there's a worldwide crisis suddenly. What part did I play in the fact that it's here upon us and it's killing people every single day? And the authorities are coming on the air saying, well, we're improving. It's only 100 people died in one city here and one city there. Indicative of the fact that coldness that they use to express what's going on in numbers, not in feelings, but in numbers. Unfortunately, these numbers of people died yesterday. That's horrible. But and I acknowledge that, and I mourn the death of all these people. But there's something good about the fact that uh, because of the hysterical tunnel vision, uh, lust for money and lust for power and lust for illicit sexual activity, a generation of energy looking for substitutes for what's really going on in life.
All of that was stopped in its tracks by COVID-19.
Yeah, God was scratching his head saying, what can I do with these people? I offered many things. I sent Christ down. I sent Sigmund Freud. I sent great doctors. I sent the message is clear. Nobody listens to it. The vast majority give it lip service. I'm not an expert about the Bible, but the promise after the great flood, when Noah and his family survived, that there would never again be such a destruction of people. Perhaps he was just talking about the floods, because now again there's a threat. It's conceivable that all humanity could die from COVID-19 unless there's a turnaround. And the point is, this could only be a warning. This could be either you shape up and look at your life and your values and the solutions that have to be applied. And just a note on that one. I have come up with a book called A Much Better Way. And in that book, there's a beginning solution to all of these problems that has to do with getting the backing and the admiration and the fervor that's necessary to elevate mothers to where they belong. To where they belong, the word belong means so they can exercise their functions and give us survival, dignified survival in our lives. We're not getting that. Mothers are being shoved into the street. There's great support for the feminists. I'm not one of them. I'm a feminist, but I can't support the feminist movement in any way. They're just hostile, looking for money increase, and it's the same thing. Round and round we go. Practically all you see in the media are women, and they're just trying to tell us how great they are, and they are great. They are. They're intelligent. They're capable, but they're not doing the job that they're designed to do, and therefore we don't have a home life. We have family disintegration. We have perversion, sexual perversion, all over the place. And so let's get back to COVID-19 and its benefits. Well, here in Costa Rica, the traffic jams were driving people crazy and making the drivers of the cars saying to themselves, what in the hell am I doing sitting in my car for hours all day long? Is this going to be my life?
Yeah.
Well, that stopped with COVID-19 momentarily, because it started again.
The contamination stuff.
The air.
Yeah.
We started breathing again.
Exactly.
All kinds of benefits to the very life functions started accumulating, and we started recognizing, who is this woman in my house that every day makes my food, that and then runs out to her job, and then runs back home, and or runs to her girlfriend, and makes me feel rejected, or makes me feel or has the capacity to make me feel like a man. Uh, so COVID-19 stopped that for a minute, and the work, the kind of work that people are relegated to do, is like you might as well work on a chain gang. It's a slavery kind of thing, and there's no joy in it. And to suggest that we are not joyful, we're not made to be joyful, is absurd. And that's absurd. We are made to be joyful, and we're not joyful. We're denying our nature, and that brings us to one of the points that I want to get home, and that is that this humanity, which is not human, it doesn't come close to being human, is not living its life. It's only living a superficial version of what perhaps is organized in school board meetings of frustrated, angry people manning the school boards. What did Mark Twain say about that? God made idiots. That was for practice.
Yeah.
Then he made school boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that extended into Hollywood, and the impact of what Hollywood churns out is really wiping out the capacity to think, the capacity to breathe. I'm glad you brought that up about breathing.
About the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some people couldn't stand the fact that we could breathe again. So the guy put his
That's
knee
the point.
on George Floyd's neck and stopped him from breathing.
Another worldwide effect.
Yeah.
Another warning given to us. People are mad. They are mad angry and mad crazy.
Yeah.
The manifestations in the streets of the world when over George Floyd's impossible assassination just made it worse. What is the benefit? Where is the benefit of that? Or is there a benefit to be found? A lesson to be learned? Did we learn lessons from the Ku Klux Klan? The Ku Klux Klan still exists.
Yeah.
And did we learn lessons from the Nazis? No. It's that now that we have the skinheads, and we have, and it's burgeoning again. I'm inferring, I'm imagining, I'm extrapolating from the newspaper headlines. But God said, "Stop this garbage. You're not living a good life." And the new normality. What is that? That all that talks about is putting
your hands.
little.
You
wash your
You have
hands.
to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And but they don't talk about the abnormality.
It's the new abnormality
Yeah.
because on goes the craziness. On goes the mental disease that we are. And I think I'm authorized to say that humanity is sick. And to call it humanity is sick. It's deviant. It's not set up to provide the new borns.
It's not humane.
Of course not. But the newborns are destined for doom and gloom. Have children now, it's almost, you have to really scratch your head and say, why? What is life now? You have to plan for the college and set aside money for the psychiatrist. And how do you adapt? The psychiatrist is really remiss, and the psychologist is really remiss. I'm a psychologist in helping people adapt to this world.
No.
That's Jacques Fresco, who recently died, a great fellow from Venice, Florida. Couldn't stand the psychologists and psychiatrists that help people adapt to the insanity of the world right now.
Yeah.
And Samuel Goldwyn topped it off by saying, if you go to a psychologist or to a psychiatrist, you ought to have your head examined. Yeah. So, yeah. But getting back to COVID-19, COVID-19, in a sense, is a punishment. It's a slap in the face to humanity, and so was the death of George Floyd. It produced a great slap in the face to try to alert people to stop this garbage life and to take stock of the life that's possible to live that would be good. Now, I'm sitting in Costa Rica in Central America, and I got here in 1975. I'm here 44 years. I would say more than half of my life in Costa Rica was an example of happiness, of fruitful living, of cooperation, and as we say in Spanish, buena gente, good people.
Yeah.
Good people. We used to talk about the good people of Costa Rica, and that's all there were. There was no crime, no army. All the negatives inherent in crime and armies was not here.
No.
No. There were very good fiestas. Yeah. Good music.
Yeah.
And good appreciation for all the people that came to Costa Rica. They were privileged, and that's why we stayed here. They were privileged to be in the charm of the people, the country, the weather, everything about this place was great. It's not that way anymore. It's not that way anymore. It has changed measurably. What happened is that the children of those great people imitate the way it was, and that turns against the.
It's curious that with the COVID-19, like at first, the violence diminished for a short period of time.
Now it's all back again.
It's more than before.
Yeah.
In Costa Rica.
Yeah.
There's more homicides than before. The drug thing is going again. And we're not even back to the new normality. We're still with restrictions and so what does that say about humanity?
What does humanity want?
Yeah.
There's a rule of thumb that I go by that you want what you have. It's all a desire. You want what you are. You can say to Costa Rica, who are hysterical to get back to the old normality.
Yeah.
They want it to be the new normality. Well, it's a new abnormality because the old was abnormal just as much as what lies ahead in Costa Rica. The approach to COVID-19 by the authorities is a numbers game. They talk every day about the new cases, how many men, how many women, how many strangers, how many Costa Ricans.
Once in a while, one of those high government officials says, "Remember, we're talking about people." As they are saying all those.
Well, yeah, but there's no feel.
Yeah.
There's no feel to it, and in support of these people, they're working hard to make it as good as they can, but there's no support in the daily lives of these people who are ex-youngsters. They're ex-newborns. They're ex-babies, and they were raised in school systems and in a culture that never faced the spirit of life, never faced the subconscious until this day, when the factories that they call universities are churning out psychologists and psychiatrists, and believe me, there's no change inherent in at least what's exposed and available to the average citizen like myself, and I'm a clinical psychologist, but I don't hear psychology in the so-called psychologists that expose their ideas in the media. It doesn't ring as something that can be of value. Now, I'm talking in the media, some kind of a media at this moment. Is there value? That's what I'm saying. Well, there is to me, because I'm expressing something that's not readily being said. It's not being said at all in the news and the media around the world. It isn't being said that there's something good about the slap in the face that all humankind has received with COVID-19. We're not taking advantage of it. When you discipline or punish as a child for an infraction of some kind, supposedly the child is supposed to change his ways based on remembering the punishment. But we don't recognize that this is a punishment. This is a slap in the face. Not just the COVID-19, but interestingly enough, George Floyd and the pathos of that man saying, I can't breathe, for God's sake, I can't breathe. They didn't care. They applied more pressure.
Oh, yeah. I thought I heard him say also, like, please, please, I can't breathe.
Well, the thing is, isn't that what we do every day? Every day to people?
Yeah, the people say, we can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
They say, oh, more.
More taxes, more. We have to pay the debts, and there's no will to even appreciate the fact that we didn't make the debts. And nobody talks about how did the debts come about. No, it's just more taxes, more repression, more uniforms for the police, and that's how we're going. And we're going. We are going. It's a very sad story, and
people all they say is they can't wait to get back to
how it was.
How it was, and keep destroying the planet and keep on.
But they use terms like, they do say the new reality. It's a new it isn't reality.
No.
We're not living reality. We're living a fantasy. And we're living a hallucination. And my other book, The Lollypop Factor, I talk about that. It's a hallucination that we're living now. Look, there's a button that goes off in the mind when you're overstepping your bounds. I've said what I had to say. I think it's good to reprimand the so-called human beings for the life that they have created, a life of suffering, a life that doesn't correspond to the truth, a life of not caring. We have your tragedy to wrestle with, and during the course of your getting better, and you are getting better, thank goodness, but you received great kindnesses and great gestures of support, and so that's possible. That exists, but do you have to fall off a wall to feel it, to know about it? That's a good question.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we've been talking about that.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about that.
Why
and
did I do that?
There's a lot to say that hasn't been said in this little discourse.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and it makes all the sense in the world, it's dangerous to say what's really going on. The truth may set you free, but it set Jesus Christ free, and it set Martin Luther King free, and it set John Kennedy free, and it set his brother free, and on and on and on. So Mahatma Gandhi and all those, the greatest of the greatest of people. And there's a phrase that my father used to say: "What are you looking for? Trouble?" Yeah. But I'm glad I said these things, and I hope that there are other people who are thinking like me and will express somehow the recognition of this peculiar pandemic circumstance that is saying to people, stop this foolish garbage life. It's wrong. You have to correct it, but nobody wants to. Nobody wants to. I've tried. I've documented what we have to do to get better. The book is called A Much Better Way, and I've written other books leading up to A Much Better Way, and nobody wants to recognize the simple pilot plans that we have to institute to get it going in the right direction, and that means backing mothers, helping mothers love themselves. That's inherent, and that has to be explained and learned and studied with solemnity. A much better way. Yeah. Yep.
We'll see you in the next episode of the Recuperation Show as life goes on.